Well, so this is the Conversations with I'm going to change subject. This is the Conversations with Influencers podcast. And what I do is I interview people who feel they're influencers
Okay.
in some way. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. It's more of a conversation than an interview.
Okay.
We can take 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that.
All right.
Um, at some point I'll say, shut up. No, I won't say that. uh, and then I'll put it up in the next couple of weeks and send you links and stuff, and you post it all over the place.
Perfect.
I
Well,
assume you'll like it. You better like it. No.
so they better enjoy it.
You could do most of the talking, but I'll probably chime in and I'll give you my experience and stuff and just ask a few occasional questions to keep it going. It doesn't seem like you have any trouble talking.
Uh,
So,
no,
yeah, probably more trouble shutting you up and making you talk.
I feel smooth medium.
Yes. Yes, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't be nervous. You'll be fine. All right. So I'm going to start it by saying, let's give a pause. I'll do an intro. Your name is Antonio.
Yeah, but you can call me Tony
Tony, what's the last name?
Johnson.
Tony Johnson.
Tony
Oh,
Johnson.
that's a tough one. I don't know if I can manage that. I get some of these people with really long
Well,
names. I'm like, not even going to try.
yeah, try to keep it nice and simple. Tony.
That was very wise of your mother, I guess. Your parents.
It was a collaboration of minds later in life.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. Well, we can talk about that if you want during the interview. You can talk about anything you want. I assume you have a product or service. Feel free to pitch them a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's start. So I'm going to leave a pause here so I can find this later and cut off the beginning. All right. I'm Richard Lowe, and this is the Conversation with Influencers podcast, in which I have discussions with influencers all over the world to find out more about what they do and how they help people. I'm the writing king, and I'm a ghostwriter and a book coach and a blogger. So if you need any help in that area, you can call me. And I'm here with Tony Johnson, who will tell me all about himself. Um, we'll try not to embarrass him too much. So take it away, Tony. What's your name? I mean, what's your story?
All right, Richard. Well, first, thank you for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it. It's always
My
good,
pleasure.
a good opportunity to share my story and just connect with other people. Especially since the transition from COVID. So I really appreciate
Right.
the opportunity. Like you said, my name's Antonio Johnson, but you can call me Tony. I'm a 36-year-old male. I'm originally from Tifton, Georgia, so a really, really small town in South Georgia. Pretty much grew up there my entire life. Around, I would say, 16 years old, I moved to Alaska, small village called Galena, population maybe of 100 people, right on the bank of the Yukon River. Probably lived there for maybe 2 years with my mother, and my mother still lives there. Um, it was just a transition in life to kind of get a different exposure. As I was becoming more of a man going into adulthood, she wanted me to kind of get an opportunity to see something different for once. And that kind of started my journey. I joined the U.S. Navy. From there, I joined the Navy for probably about 12 years, active duty. I was a combat medic, hospital corpsman, and my primary duty on a daily was surgical. I was a surgical technologist. So you think of any surgery that you could think of, I've most likely scrubbed or assisted. Most from you could say laminectomy, so spinal cases,
Mhm.
L&D, C-sections, facial reconstruction from OMFS, so oral surgery, dental implants, um, breast implants, penile implants. Oh, the list goes on. That was my passion for the entire time. Got to deploy twice on a combat ship. So I was on the CVN 75 Harry S. Truman. So it's an aircraft carrier, typically about 4 to 5,000 people before deployment, and it can get up to about 9,000 people on a deployment. Just all depends who's with you. Um, got to serve in the Middle East, so doing Operation Enduring Freedom. I think the first deployment was maybe about 9 or 10 months. The second one's about 8 or 9 months. Very long time just being out to sea, and experiencing what the Navy really had to offer. Um, and then, of course, I ended my time in Beaufort, South Carolina. That's my last duty station. I probably spent about 4 years there. It's kind of more of a smaller dynamic, not so robust, not so military operation heavy. So I got to
Hmm.
really get back into my clinical skills. Mm, yeah, that all ended in 2019. So from '09 to 2019 was like active duty, and then I had a little bit of reserve time after that.
Okay. Okay. And then COVID came along, I take it.
Yeah, and then COVID came along. Yeah, yeah,
Ruined everything.
yeah. I gotta say, getting out of the Navy, my plan did not play out the way I intended. Of course, like most people, I got out and I was gonna go finish my bachelor's degree, and I was gonna go to school to be a dentist because in the Navy, I wanted to be. They considered a tooth fairy. I want to be a dentist. I want to be back in the oral surgery. I wanted to make people smile and feel happy. And so I figured that would be my pursuit after I got out. And like you said, COVID hit. Oof, world shocker. Um, Now I was able to get a job, so I got out and I explored some dental fields out here in California. So I live in San Diego, and I would say it wasn't the same feeling. Like it was almost like being in the Navy and being in the military gave me this structure, gave me this community. And as soon as I got to the civilian world, especially private practice, all of that went out the window. It,
I'll bet it did. I've
yeah.
spent some time in San Diego. I like the museum down there. The
Oh yeah,
museums.
yeah, yeah. They have some nice museums.
The
Uh,
Natural History Museum is awesome. Science and technology.
Definitely. Over by Balboa Park. I actually just took my
Yeah.
son this past weekend.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a great place to go. I was young, both younger and older, and when I went with groups,
oh,
had a lot
nice,
of fun. Yeah.
nice, nice. Yeah. So yeah, like you said, San Diego, man, that shift in dynamic. I wasn't prepared for it. Um, but I wound up getting a job at a pediatric therapy clinic, and this really has started the transition of where I am now.
Yeah.
I was able to finish my bachelor's degree, so I got my bachelor's in healthcare administration, just a regular bachelor's in health science. And pediatric therapy I had never been exposed to ever. In the military, I mean, it's very rare when you get to deal with peds when you have a specialty. And I have kids. I have three teenagers, so I have a 15, 14, and 13-year-old. And my youngest is my son, who's diagnosed with autism. And I'll bring this all back to full circle. Um,
Okay.
so getting a job at this pediatric therapy clinic, one of the big areas they focus on is with children diagnosed with autism. So you get OT, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy. Those are our main focus areas. And I got to do the basic things: schedule appointments, look over documentation, integrate with like new clients and existing clients. And I slowly built my way up through this organization over 3 years. So you could say from 2019 to 2022. I went from a scheduling assistant to a scheduling manager to an operations specialist to actually the director of the entire clinic within like 3 years. So I kind of worked my way up the ladder, being next to the CEO and help running things from a billing perspective, operation perspective, hiring, just changing things using the skills I learned from the military and my education. And throughout that process, I went back to grad school. So when I got my master's in healthcare administration along the process. So it kind of helped me
Nice.
along the way, apply what I learned to the real life scenarios while at work, and it paid off. And then I came to a point where I questioned what was I really going to do next. It was kind of weird. I got that same feeling I got when I was ready to get out of the service, but it happened a lot quicker. I mean, the service almost took 11 years or so to get that feeling to move on next. This job, I felt it in 3 years. I was like, I gotta do something different. It's time for a new change. And I knew, dentistry is a passion of mine, but I think being exposed to pediatric therapy and kids diagnosed with autism and all kinds of other conditions, it had more like a significant impact on me on the inside. Don't get me wrong, dentistry is great. It's a great field. Um, but I felt like my skills and what I had to offer were going to be underutilized because I was going to focus on one thing, and that's enhancing the smile. And I made a real big life decision to not go to dental school and actually apply to occupational therapy school for
Hmm.
doctors in occupational therapy. And I got accepted. So, 2 years in it, 9 more months left, and I'll have my doctorate in occupational therapy.
And what does that give you?
So what that'll allow me to do is focus on a more holistic way of therapy to
Okay,
provide to the public. And so you think occupational therapy, most people think working, right? You think of a job.
right. It's
Um,
the word occupation then.
the word occupation, right? Well, that fits in the scope. That's one of the areas that you focus on, but it really highlights 8 domains of human activity. So you have ADLs, which is basic activities of daily living, brushing your
Right.
teeth, getting dressed, uh, feeding yourself, having sex, the basic functions, right? Then there's IADL, so that's instrumental activities of daily living. So things you do out in the community. You can walking
Okay.
your dog, taking care of kids, paying bills, just things you do for others. Then you have sleep, education, work, social participation, fun, and leisure. So
Mm,
with that type of scope of practice, really being able to apply, like I said, a more holistic approach to people's conditions that they deal with on a daily, whether you have COPD, osteoarthritis, you've dealt with a stroke, depression, amputation, whatever the case may be on a healthcare perspective, being able to help individuals who are in need. So it's more of a not just I guess a career shift for me, but more of a personal shift as well. So
I see.
still being able to keep that military way of providing care and helping others. It's a little bit more broad and not as Western medicine that I already have been taught.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I understand. My wife had COPD and asthma,
Okay.
so could definitely have used a an occupational therapist like you to help her out. Unfortunately, I had to go it alone. She passed away about 17 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear
Well,
that.
yeah, well, smoking, COPD, and asthma don't go together.
And they do not go well together at all.
No. So it was a matter of time. And COPD, she had a collapsed lung for a while. It was pretty damning. I mean, it hurts you.
They
It's not
can.
something, it's not minor.
Yeah. It's a lot bigger than what, I think the mass population has an understanding of, realizing like how important our lungs is. And when you have something like COPD, something simple as high humidity, just high temperatures, it being hot outside can really have a major impact on how you function. And, you know, I think being more educated about it, being able to share more about the public and really paying attention to your body and knowing preventive ways that you can prevent or minimize COPD symptoms is very, very important. So, like I said, being in occupational therapy really opened my mind and exposed me to more ways I can provide assistance to the general population or just people that I know in general.
Hmm. Interesting. Do you run your own practice or will you be running your own practice?
I'm glad you asked that question. So yes, I will be running my own practice. I am definitely big into entrepreneurship. As you can see, I have BRITE CC on my fleece, and it's actually my nonprofit organization. So it
Okay.
stands for Brilliant, Reliable, Innovative, Transparent, Efficient Clinical Care. Uh,
Okay.
so right now, what BRITE does is I have phases of it, and right now I am in phase one, which is the nonprofit version. And ideally, what I focus on is assisting military veterans, whether they're active duty or whether they've been discharged for years, 30 days, doesn't matter. I assist them with processing out, filing disability claims, getting Social Security benefits, getting back into college and getting education, helping them
Okay.
find a career path, helping them creating a business if that's something they're into. I just took all those skills that I had and all the education and knowledge and was like, why don't I create an organization where I can help veterans just like me achieve their goals?
Yeah, when I was operations director, at Trader Joe's computer operations director. While I was there, I learned to hire vets. So I hired a bunch of ex-special forces and ex-Marines. Um, some were on active duty. They disappeared for a few months and then came back. They never talk about what they did though. um, and my boss was not thrilled with that. I don't know why. And finally, I had to challenge him. I said, "Look, am I in charge of hiring or not? And if I am," he says, "Yeah, you are. Good. Then get out of my way and let me hire who I want." Because these guys and girls, there were some guys and gals, are are super competent. They get things done. I mean, I watched them just tear apart my computer room and put it back together. My boss was terrified because we kept it live and running still while we were tearing it apart. So lifting it up on big balloons and things. He's all nervous. I'm like, that's why I hire vets, you know. They're not going to screw it up. And I was
Exactly.
right. They did a beautiful job. So I would highly recommend anybody listening consider hiring vets and military people. You're going to get some good quality work from them
Yeah,
for
you're gonna get
sure.
your buck.
Yeah, you definitely are. And I found it actually much better than hiring civilians in many ways. Not that there are good civilians, there are, but the vets, they have the discipline
Yeah.
more normally and the attitude, like, yes, sir, I'll get it done. It's like, okay,
No gripe,
thank
no
you,
complaints. I just got it done.
thank you. It wasn't even how high jump, how high. It was just jump. Okay, you know, and it was great, and it's quite an experience. My father and grandfather were both vets.
Oh, nice,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and he was in the Air Force. My grandfather was in the Navy, and he was captured on Corregidor in World War II.
Wow.
He was in the Bataan Death March and spent 4 years in a Japanese POW camp. He came out um, different. And when I met him in the 70s, people said, he's weird. Don't go near him. He's just weird. He'll snap at you. It's like, well, I want to know my grandfather. So I went over and talked to him. Everybody said, don't talk to him. I talked to him. He's fine. A little weird, but fine. And then I said, okay, I want to write your story. So I took his journal and I took his did interviews of him. And I was only 17, so the best I could.
Yeah.
And I wrote a little book, never published. And I got to know my grandfather. And you know what I found out? He went through a lot, and he can be as weird as he wants.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I,
I
I
have never had somebody swinging a machete at me or have my friend's head cut off in front of me or anything like that. So I cannot judge his weirdness.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, you think about when you mentioned him being a prisoner of war, truly what that experience is like. My wife, she used to be a SEER instructor. So
Mhm.
what they do is they prepare pilots, Marines, Navy SEALs. They help prepare them in case they become prisoner of wars, how to survive and how to last the test of time so they can come back home. And
Right.
honestly, just hearing about her training and watching some of the things she went through, it's a lot. It's really, truly a lot
Mhm.
to be in a foreign land, considered an enemy, and really being put under intense life stress and pressures, just trying to make it day by day, hoping that you'll get back home. So, like you said, entitlement to be weird, 100%.
Oh, he could be as weird as he wanted. I mean, he's passed away, long passed away, but he could be as weird as he wanted, he could be as curmudgeon as he wanted. I was fine with him after that
Yeah,
because I knew the story. And that is probably what started the germ of me becoming a ghostwriter was learning people's stories and what's behind them. It's one of the reasons why I started this podcast is learning people's stories.
I
And
love that.
yeah, it's very interesting. Thank you. It's very interesting to find out why this person acts the way they do and why they've got the beliefs they have, whether they're mine or not. I don't care. Because this is America. You're entitled to your own beliefs, whatever
Yeah.
they are, left,
There
right, center, up, you know, straight up, straight down. I don't care. Just tell me what your beliefs are. I'm not going to get insulted. They're your beliefs. They're not mine.
Exactly. And that's what I love about this country. But yeah, so that's Bright CC. That's phase one. Now, of course, Bright is a little bit more in depth than just, hey, this nonprofit and I help veterans. I got into app design, so I developed a mobile app. I want to say
Nice.
maybe 9, 10 months ago. And so, I took the concept from social media, LinkedIn, and the VA, honestly. And what I've designed was it's more of a resource hub. So what I realized is most veterans, they lack the knowledge on how it works, how the system works. They know the system works. They know there's compensation. They know there's benefits. They know there's healthcare, but they don't know how to get started. They don't know how to access. They don't know the lingo. So what I did was I designed this app to provide that information. I got information about scholarships from dependents to
Hmm.
if you served. I have a program to help veterans who have negative discharges to walk them through the steps of getting their DD 214 rechanged so they can get their benefits, which is big right now. I
Hmm.
have a program on there to help veterans that are considered homeless to get them in the system and get them resources and get them active care. And then the biggest thing about the app, honestly, is that it's a community hub. So unlike Facebook, unlike Instagram, unlike LinkedIn, everybody that's on there is veteran or they're dependent or they're part of this community. So you think about having a network of people just like you, it enhances your ability to achieve goals, um, to 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 overfeed challenges. And that was one of the big things I wanted to be able to do is I want to take this community that I felt like is a little different from the rest of the society. We go in like society, we come out completely different. And I thought, well, what's one way to help people overcome some of the things they do? Well, give them a close community of people just like them, and being able to reach out and accomplish goals that you never really thought you could. So that's the app right now. There's a podcast as well. Well, there is a podcast on there that I'm still developing
Hmm.
called Silent Warriors by BRITE CC.
Okay.
And the big concept behind it is focusing on homeless veterans. So I go do a lot of research. I go find new programs that are out. I go find the statistics of homeless veterans, breaking stigmas and stereotypes about mental health conditions such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, PTSD, alcoholism. And then, of course, I've actually gone out in local San Diego and interviewed some homeless veterans just for them to tell their stories. The whole concept is bringing the homeless veterans back to the natural community and kind of breaking that stigma of a them versus us and really just reintegrating them. I feel like one of the big issues with homelessness is desegregation from society. They're like in their own space of their own and really allowing them to tell their stories, share who they are, and let the world see the true rawness behind what someone goes through from a war perspective or serving and how that can change them and yeah, just kind of change the stigma that's put behind it.
That's very important because I know veterans go through a lot just from my experiences, and none of them were homeless, but they'd been through some trauma,
Yeah,
and sometimes you had to be careful around certain subjects,
you definitely do.
and and sometimes you didn't, and it was interesting dealing with them on a work basis, especially. But people need help. I'm glad you're helping them.
Thank you, thank you. I feel like it's my drive now to be able not just to help veterans, but like I said, dependents, even individuals who support the veteran community, because I realize that's just as big as a job itself. That brings its own form of PTSD. When you listen to people's story after story after story, you develop PTSD. You develop depression. You absorb that energy. So it's not just
Right.
for veterans, it's for other individuals as well that have been a part of this journey. Maybe not on the battlefield, but they've been on the backside, being supportive. So I just want to make sure that there's a place for everybody that supports this military lifestyle, that there's another version of a home outside when everything's done where you can get things off, you can get resources, you can understand how to process and move forward in your life because that's only one part of our lives. We should be able to close that chapter and move forward and accomplish bigger things and not let those prior experiences hold us back.
If only it were that easy.
Hopefully it's I
Yes. Yes. I was never in the military. I am a military history buff though, and I like I'm following Ukraine and to a lesser extent the Israeli conflict, and read a lot about the when it was happening, the Serbian conflict and all these things, World War II, World War One. Fascinated by the whole thing, by strategy, tactics, by the people involved, because you think there were 11 million men in the United States service during World War II, men and women. Um, Boy, the logistics of that.
yeah,
Wow. A
it's a lot of logistics.
and they landed 1.5 million troops in Normandy in a matter of a month. Wow.
Yeah,
1.5 million, and those guys, they didn't have all the comforts like we have.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
not to mention the other side who had even less. The Axis troops, Japan and Germany and Italy, they were not richer countries like we were. So they had, as far as standard of living, they had it a lot worse. And part of their casualty count is because disease.
Yeah, the disease is a big one.
Yeah. And I think the two movies that come closest is Fury, if you've seen that,
That's in Fury.
and Finding Sergeant Ryan,
Yeah.
or Private Ryan, excuse me, Finding Private Ryan. Somebody will correct me in the comments. Both those two movies are very realistic, gritty, realistic, and I think they only catch the tip of the iceberg in some ways.
Oh, definitely.
But
Oh, de-
Fury really caught it. I think just how gritty and awful it was.
oh, definitely. Honestly, I think also like when you think about the lifestyle, like I say, if you even just take out war and just the day to day hustle and bustle and grind, I remember there were
Right.
days, I was up 2, 3, 4 days, just up.
Yep.
Not required to be up. My body just couldn't shut off. My mind couldn't shut off. I'm constantly thinking about what's next, what operation, what maintenance I got to do. Or is there a procedure coming up? Hey, did I give that person the wrong medications? Did I tell them this? So, just that the constant autopilot, and what that feels like. Um, so yeah, I feel like now that I'm out, my whole lifestyle is kind of devoted to the military and the veteran community, just on a different perspective.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you found something you're calling, I guess.
Yeah, you can say it's my calling. I would definitely say Bright is gonna take me as far as I let it. Like I said, this is phase one. Phase two is wellness therapy by Bright CC. So it'll be a
Hmm.
therapy clinic. It will be originally the first brick and mortar be in San Diego, most likely my community of Lemon Grove. And then from there I'll see where I can expand it. I'm looking to place one in Georgia, one in Alaska, just where I can put small little hubs and put it in places where veterans can get, like I said, a little bit more of a therapeutic experience with the conditions that they're dealing with. Not pushing medications, I'm pushing the day-to-day stuff. I'm talking pottery, I'm talking arts and crafts, journaling, 3D printing, VR reality, open communication in group-like settings, nature walks, whatever that person feels they need to re-engage and feel whole. That's my whole approach.
Yes, and in a couple of years we'll have another podcast, and you'll be on stage 200. Have them open nationwide. You'll be getting millions of dollars in federal funding. You'll be all set. Veterans will be off. No more homeless veterans at all. You're going to be going big times.
Hey, hey,
Hey, I
hey,
think big too.
yo, if I can make all that happen, yo, I would do it tomorrow, just like
But
that.
I think you can. You certainly can if you want to.
Oh, for sure.
You just have to do it. And it sounds like you're doing it.
Step by step, I realize being an entrepreneur, I get the concept now. It takes years to build the brand, and I think that's one place that I'm really focusing on. It's not just a nonprofit. It's not just a wellness therapy. It's not just an app. It's a brand. Right? CC is meant to be like a light and a beacon for veterans, for entrepreneurs who feel like they're lost in a space. I want to be that hope to let people know. Just like you, I'm an average person. I don't come from a rich background. I don't have a bunch of money. I just took my resources and invested in myself, and it's paying off.
Hmm. There you go. That's how you make it.
That's how you
That's
make
how you
it.
make it. Yeah, I have something that I always think about. People say about stepping out of your box. They say that all the time. Get out of your box. My question is, why do you have a box in the first place? Get
You
rid
should
of the box.
rid of
Just
the
get rid of
box.
it. Don't step out of it. Get rid of it.
I love that. I love
See
that
where
a
you can
lot.
go. Yeah. And that I follow that to a certain extent. I try. And so every once in a while I'll stumble at the edge of the box, go, oh shit, that's something I wouldn't do before. Like these interviews, these podcasts. I'm introverted. This was isn't the most comfortable thing I do, but might as well do it. You're probably not going to reach through the screen and strangle me tomorrow, today. Probably not. It'd be interesting if you did reach through the screen, but that's a different story. So I could do that. I became a photographer and I photographed 1,200 women. I was terrified of doing that. Like, but once I did it, it's like, oh yeah, I could do that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can do whatever you want to do. Just get rid of the box.
I like that you said that. My philosophy is always never being settled with the goals, rearranging the list. So as soon as I feel like I've hit that peak point and I've achieved what I thought was the impossible, I'll go back and create a whole new set of goals. Something that's nothing that I thought I could even fathom. And that keeps my drive going. I don't get settled and content with, okay, I created a nonprofit. When I did that, I was like, all right, let's see what's next. Let's create an app. If I did that, I was like, all right, let's create an LLC. Okay. If I did that, I was like, let's do some public speaking. Right now, I'm working on
Yeah.
a book. So, like you said,
Yep.
just taking that box and just throwing it away and just re-breaking
If
those.
you need a if you need a ghostwriter for your book,
Oh yes, I was looking. Trust me, it's in the back of my brain. It
I'm
is.
also a book. If you want to write it yourself, I'm a book coach, so I could help you write it. Whatever you need, I'm here for you.
I love that. I appreciate that.
Bring it to the front of your brain. Um,
Let's take it and pull it forward.
yes, yes. So this is all fascinating. I like the focus on homelessness and on the military veterans. I think there's a great need there. There's not a lot of people who are willing to do the effort. So kudos to you. You'll achieve it. You just got to do it.
True.
If you got the heart for it, and don't let people talk you out of it.
Yeah, I would say that was probably like the first struggle, probably in the first year. It was when you're getting your ideas out and you're sharing it and you're trying to get feedback and you get the people who cut you down. I think yeah, once I got past that and I was able to just to go with the ideas and I think this whole entrepreneur thing is an experience. It's a journey and you have to stay positive. You have to be optimistic and you have to be realistic. Everybody's not going to agree with the mission. Everybody's not going to get your values, but as long as you stay aligned with yourself and you stay true to the cause, how can you fail? And
Mhm.
failure is so subjective. I've always remind myself that I'm not in this to make millions of dollars. If it comes, the merrier, right? But I know that ever since I started putting my focus in someone else way bigger than me, my life I've been winning. I can't recall the last time things didn't go the way I needed it to. So I feel like this path is intended for me. I feel like I'm making all the right decisions. Things will grow. More challenges will come. But I think I'll be prepared for it. And like you said, believing in myself and just setting the expectations high as I can. I mean,
Yes,
sky's the
and
limit.
don't, and be willing to fail.
And be willing to fail. Fall on the ground a little bit.
Yep, that's how children learn to walk. They
Exactly.
fall over, and if you don't let them fall over, they don't become as strong as they would be.
Exactly.
You have to say, oh, that my child is in school. Oh, they failed their test. So
You'll be all
let them do it again.
right.
Not the teacher's fault. It's the student's fault normally.
Yeah, let's change some up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, this has been fascinating. Is there any way people can get hold of you?
Yes, there is. There's multiple ways. You can look me up on the internet, www.brite-cc.com. So that's BRITE-CC.com. I'm literally once you pull it up, I own the first 7 to 8 links on Google, so it kind of flooded with my information. You can find me on LinkedIn, Antonio Johnson. I'm gonna pop up. You're gonna see Bright CC. You can find me on Facebook at Bright CC. You can find me on Instagram at Bright CC. The app is accessible in I want to say 300 countries on
Hmm.
Apple and Google Market. That's Bright CC. It'll pop up. Yeah, I'm everywhere. You want to email me? That's b.r.i.t.ecc1 at gmail.com. I'm accessible. It's
Amazing.
everywhere.
You got it wired. Well, very good. It's been great talking to you. Do you have any final words for your listeners?
I do. For any veteran out there that feels like veteran, active duty, dependent, sponsor, if you feel like you are having trouble processing your benefits, if you feel like you're having trouble just processing being part of the service, reach out. I'm here for that. I'm not just here to help you file disability. I'm not just here to help you process Social Security. I'm here to help you understand the system and help you achieve the goals that you're looking for, whatever level that may be. So you feel like you're in the dark, just know there is a light, Bright CC.
Awesome. That's perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, this has been the Conversations with Influencers podcast. I'm Richard Lowe, the owner of The Writing King. You can find me at thewritingking.com. I don't have anywhere near as many places as he does, but I've got a few. Just go to thewritingking.com. That's thewritingking.com. And you'll find me, and you'll find all kinds of articles and stories and all kinds of good stuff. And if you're interested in a book, whether writing it yourself and hiring me as a coach, or hiring me as a ghostwriter, I also do blogs and things, then feel free to reach out, schedule an appointment. Let's talk. In the meantime, thank you for appearing on the interview. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun.